The Gretchen Whitmer case shows what is wrong not only with intelligence agencies, but with the court system as a whole. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and there's no Winnie the Westie today, and if you typically see me in a suit and I'm not doing a live stream,
I'm not having a very good day.
A client of mine is involved in a lawsuit that was filed in 2015, and we are near 7 years later, and we still have not been able to get a trial date because what goes on in the system is perfectly illustrative of how broken the system is, which is a perfect segue into today's story, updates in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot.
You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Actually, this is more an update into the FBI agents who were the ones who allegedly foiled this plot, although it has become increasingly obvious that they might have been the ones planning this plot in the first place, from FBI agents playing active roles in the alleged plot to over a dozen informants, some of whom who were paid, having leadership roles in this plot. At the end of the day, it is not clear who was setting up this plot, who was participating in this plot, although it is becoming increasingly clear to many who know the details that the defendants in this case might very well, potentially, possibly have been entrapped. Now, for those of you who don't know the story here, 30,000 foot overview, we're not getting into the history. There was an alleged kidnapping plot against Governor Gretchen Whitmer that was allegedly foiled by the FBI. She blamed Trump. It was an election season. Everything reeked of politics. And the more this story goes on, the more it is becoming clear, potentially clear, that the FBI agencies involved in foiling this plot had an active role in planning the plot. There are something like 15 defendants who were charged in this case. One of them pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 6 years in jail. We will get to that in a bit, but the longer this story goes on, the more it becomes apparent that there were as many, if not more, FBI agents and paid informants involved in setting up this plot than defendants themselves. The paid informants had leadership roles in this alleged plot. They were training some of the defendants. They were planting the ideas in the heads of the defendants to such a point that the Huffington Post itself said, yeah, I don't know why I said the Huffington Post. I meant BuzzFeed. Huffington Post. It's not clear there would have been a plot in the absence of FBI agents and informants. A while back, I did an update because one of the FBI agents who was central to this entire plot, who was one of the key witnesses, was arrested allegedly for causing grievous bodily harm to his spouse, grievous bodily harm less than death, following an evening they spent at a swingers club, and he was let out of jail on $10,000 bond, personal recognizance, but he had his firearm taken away from him,
which would make it very difficult to continue to be an FBI agent.
Well, since then, he has been fired from the FBI. From Fox News, FBI agent in Michigan Governor Whitmer kidnapping bust fired amid allegations he beat wife after swingers party. Defense for men facing trial in kidnapping plot seek extension to investigate conduct of other FBI agents. By Danielle Wallace, Fox News. The prosecution in this case is going from bad to worse at epic levels, and something tells me the sole individual who pleaded guilty in this case, Ty Garbin, is going to regret his plea at the end of the day. And by the sounds of it, he's going to have 6 years to regret that plea. The lead FBI agent credited with thwarting a plot to kidnap Michigan's Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer no longer works for the Bureau, and a news report claims he was fired after allegedly beating his wife following the couple's attendance at a swingers party. Special Agent Richard Trask, 39, of Kalamazoo, Michigan, was fired from the Federal Bureau of Investigation last week. A spokesperson has only confirmed that he no longer works on FBI matters, but declined to provide details pending further review, WWMT reported. We do not need to go over the details of the alleged incident, and yes, it is true that this alleged incident occurred after the foiling of the alleged plot. Suffice only to say that this does not make the FBI look good when their key witness, their key investigator, is accused of having
done something like this.
But when something like this happens, you know darn well the defense is rightly going to call in question the FBI investigators themselves, as the defendants are doing. Defense attorneys for those charged in connection to Whitmer's alleged kidnapping plot have used Trask's arrest to raise questions about other FBI agents who were working the case. On Wednesday, they asked a judge to delay the trial by 90 days to give them time to investigate conduct of other FBI agents. And just a reminder that politics ruins everything, with an illustration as to how it ruins everything. When the kidnapping case was filed in October 2020, Whitmer, a Democrat, pinned some blame on Trump, saying his refusal to denounce far-right groups had inspired extremists across the US. It added even more heat to the final weeks of a tumultuous election season. Trump had earlier urged supporters to, quote, liberate, end quote, Michigan from stay-at-home coronavirus mandates. Trask's firing comes after a sixth man facing federal charges in the kidnapping plot pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 6 years in prison last month. In his plea agreement, Ty Garbin admitted he and the 5 other men trained at his property near Luther, Michigan, constructing a, quote, shoot house, end quote, to resemble Whitmer's vacation home, and, quote, assaulting it with firearms, end quote. The government, noting Garbin's exceptional cooperation, asked U.S. District Judge Robert Jonker to give him credit for helping investigators reinforce their case against his co-defendants. Now, as it is worded here, it kind of sounds like there were 6 defendants who pleaded guilty, when my understanding is that Ty Garbin is the only defendant to have pleaded guilty, and to thank him for his wonderful cooperation, they sentenced him to 6 years in jail. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 6 years in jail while this prosecution falls apart at the seams, and something tells me he is going to regret his plea. But the alleged FBI misconduct doesn't stop here. For those of you who have been watching my vlogs, you are already familiar with this, but there is alleged FBI misconduct in that one of the FBI agents was allegedly texting one of the informants and told the informant if anyone suspected him of being the informant to lie and say it was an innocent third party, and then that FBI agent suggested that the informant delete the text messages. So there has been discovery of further evidence of FBI misconduct in that the FBI agent was literally telling the informant to lie, to blame a third party, and then to delete the evidence of the instructions from the FBI agent to the informant. As one can imagine, the government wasn't exactly eager to share this information. The defendants had to make a motion to compel discovery, and it would seem, as happens oftentimes in the pursuit of justice, there was a last-minute
document dump
where the prosecution has dumped thousands and thousands of documents and apparently thousands of hours of audio on the defendants on the eve of the trial. It's the old document dump on the eve of the trial. Try to make hay of what we just sent you, and yeah, go ahead and defend yourselves properly. From MLive, defense in Gov Whitmer kidnap plot seeks trial delay to review evidence, investigate FBI agents. Grand Rapids, Michigan. 5 men suspected of plotting to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer asked that their trial scheduled for October 12 in U.S. District Court be postponed for 90 days. A hearing on the motion to postpone the federal trial is on Friday, September 17. Defense attorneys say the government has provided, unquote, extensive, end quote, amount of discovery materials that have caused, quote, significant confusion, end quote. The evidence includes over 1,000 hours of, quote, poor quality, end quote, audio surveillance records with, quote, overlapping speakers, end quote. Quote, investigative work by the defense is complicated by the government's extensive use of confidential human sources and undercover FBI agents, end quote, attorneys said. The defense also said a military expert recently backed out. Attorney Michael Hills, representing Brandon Caserta, hired an expert in military tactics and training who was expected to testify for the defendants who were part of the Wolverine Watchman militia. But less than 2 weeks ago, the expert said that given publicity generated by the case, he was no longer willing to testify. This seems to be another case where the publicity generated by the trial, the backlash, the fear of reprisals is in fact deterring experts to testify on behalf of the defendants, exactly what we saw in the Chauvin case. So it's not just that you have the incident with this one FBI agent who is accused of causing grievous bodily harm to his spouse. It's not just that you have text messages between one of the FBI agents and the informant, telling the informant to delete the text messages between the two of them. Allegedly, you had investigators also promising to cause
chaos for the defense.
Attorneys have also attacked the credibility of 2 other investigators, including a special agent who allegedly told a source he would create, quote, chaos, end quote, for defense attorneys in reviewing discovery materials. Quote, defendants are investigating recent developments relating to the conduct of FBI agents involved in the case, and it will be difficult to complete this investigation before the scheduled trial date, end quote. Attorney Scott Graham, representing Caleb Franks, wrote. Apparently, the assistant U.S. attorney on the file said although they are ready to go to trial, they do not object to the request for a continuance. The attorney for the defendants had sought a change of venue, which the judge dismissed, and the judge said there's nothing to worry about here, justice is being served properly. He, the judge, said that statements presented in court attributed to one or more of the defendants are, quote, if true, genuinely disturbing, but there has been no rush to judgment or steamrolling over constitutional rights. To the contrary, other commentators and press reports have provided information regarding the number of government agents and informants involved, and some have questioned how much of a push these players may have given to the defendants. More recent reporting has focused on an unrelated domestic violence charge now pending against one of the agents who worked the case. In short, there has been plenty of balance in the publicity, end quote. The judge may in fact have a point here. There has been a lot of pretty damning coverage of this story, probably because it could no longer be hidden. Whether or not that means that these defendants are going to get a fair trial in their venue, that is a matter of opinion, and who am I to disagree with the judge? The judge knows best.
I am the law.
But those are the latest developments in the Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot prosecution. This prosecution gets weirder and weirder and weaker with each passing day. And by the looks of it, this trial is going to get postponed so that the defendants can go through that additional information that was dumped on them on the eve of the trial. And if it wasn't thousands of pages of documents, at the very least, it includes thousands of hours of very difficult to listen to audio. And I will be closely following what gems come out of those thousands of hours of audio recording, because undoubtedly there is going to be something damning in there. And with that said, if you like my videos, you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm.
My Homer is not a communist.
If you want to support the channel, all of the support links are in the pinned comment. Robert Barnes and I do weekly streams every Sunday. We do weekly streams with a guest every Wednesday called The Sidebar. If you want to find us and support us on Locals, you can find us at
VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com.
Supporters on Locals get access to a lot of exclusive content, but all of my content will also be on Rumble if you want to catch it there. But more important than anything, take care of yourselves, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, and now you know your vlog. Peace out.